Hello. Microphone checking, working. I think it's working. Today is Saturday. Today's Saturday chill. Not too many events, at least for the morning time. Max is Max is on a rafting trip with church. Eli is at a birthday lunch, and Lauren went mountain biking this morning. Bethany's at home just chilling, resting, and Alexa is on a.
I'm not quite sure how to help you with that.
The Sonos is also Alexa. Anytime I say her name, then it pauses. But anyway, she's on a senior trip for the weekend. So it's funny because I said we're not doing much, but everyone's doing something. But I guess for me, because I don't have any meetings this morning, I don't have any hangouts, at least for the first half of the day, then it feels like it's lighter, which is nice. So today I'm still doing some work. Saturday is feeding day for me. Tuesday, Thursday, Riley or Nana come and help me do feeding and cleaning. But Saturday is kind of my day to do that and check on the animals and stuff. And so I figure I'll dare diary this and just kind of chat while I feed. So topic of the day today that I was thinking of talking about for my diary ramble vlog is hustle. And I think hustle and work ethic's a little bit different, but I kind of sometimes simultaneously use those two together. You can tell when somebody has that hustle, when they have like strong work ethic. However, I do think that some of those things, those traits are more dormant in people. And I think everybody has the possibility to hustle. And we've all hustled to some degree or another in life, in school and college. And is this broken? And work life. And even when we first have our kids, like you're forced to kind of grind it out and figure out routines and things like that. But when it comes to work, I'm talking more about work hustle. And I do think that a lot of people don't enjoy their work as much as they'd like. There are a few exceptions. I think Lauren has never really complained about her work ever. She's been at her current job for 18 years doing like nerd engineer stuff, and she likes her role. She likes how she's utilized. She likes being able to use her her strengths at work. But also Lauren's an engineer, so she's not as like emotionally sensitive to like difficult things. And I say that not to put down people like myself or others who are more sensitive to things when it comes to the nuances of interpersonal relationships and at work and and those things. But and when I say sensitive, I think that's has like negative connotations of being sensitive. I've grown, and I used to believe that, but I've grown to really embrace that adjective, or that's adjective. Embrace that that term. There are little hatchlings over here. Because when we say, well, oh, we're sensitive, too sensitive, then I've always been. I will say that even in churches that I've worked at, they're like, oh, you're too sensitive, and I actually despise that because it's just a lot of like non-sensitive people not understanding the realm of the EQ type of people, and I get it. You can be sensitive and still have grit, and still be able to brush things off your shoulder, but it takes time to process those things, right? So all that to say is that yeah, when I talk about work ethic and hustle, I think sometimes we kind of confuse those two things. But my point I'm trying to make is that I think we can all hustle. Some people will hustle more than others naturally, but I think that we all are able to hustle. And so I was thinking about how, doing these business stuff that I have, and doing some church work, and even working through church for over a decade. And then before that, had another business that failed. And then before that, I was working on the ambulance for 5 years, and that was a huge hustle. So that sheer amount of grunt work that I was able to put in kind of helped me to develop kind of this hustle. So now hustle is one thing, and working efficiently is another thing. It took me a while to figure out that in order to hustle efficiently, you got to hustle towards your strengths. And if you don't have those strengths, you have to develop a certain skill set, right? However, eventually you want to shore up those skills. And so this aspect of business is interesting because there are so many skills you have to develop in terms of managing people, in terms of running admin, in terms of sales, in terms of being a visionary and forecasting and projecting what's going to happen Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4, and the short-term goals of like a 3-year plan versus 5-year plan, and what's going to happen in 10 years. And I think just having, man, I always get all these tail nips on some of these because I clutch up some of these geckos, meaning I put them in twos when they're born. But what happens when you clutch them up like this is that they oftentimes will nip each other's tails because they think it's food or worm, and so they'll bite each other's tails. And so we call these tail nips. So it just looks like it's bit up and dried up on the nip, the end of the tail. See this one too. Damn. This is why you gotta separate out these animals quicker. That sucks. Okay. Sorry, I'm lost in the tail nips right now. I forgot what I was talking about. But yeah, I mean, developing all these different skills, and so I think all of us are able to hustle. It's just a matter of like putting us in a stream where we will thrive and grow, and be able to flourish kind of in that realm, and being empowered to do those things. And so I think a lot about managing the teams and how can I manage better. Ultimately, if my team members, employees are unhappy or confused by things, I own it, because it's something that unless I convey to them very clearly, then it's on me, right? So I am always checking in, or trying at least trying to work at being better at checking in at where the team members are, how they're doing, how can I provide them with as much value and all the tools so that they can continue to thrive and grow and kind of hit the goals that we've set out. So being on both ends of being managed before and now managing people, and kind of still both and a little bit within the various realms of like work and church and these things, it has helped me to figure out how, it helps me to look at how I'm managed and how I was poorly managed, or how I was managed well, how I was developed or not developed. And it really puts things into perspective of like, now that I'm able to manage, team members, how can I give them what I would have loved when I was being managed or am being managed? And I realized that management is difficult because people are difficult. We all have emotions, and we all have we're all in different seasons of life. We all have different things going on, and that's a huge variable when it comes to work. Now, if we're all machines, then we wouldn't have these issues. But because we're not machines, we are tasked with certain duties. We have certain responsibilities, and sometimes we hate it, sometimes we love it. So management for me is, how can I put each of the team members in their specific role of strengths and give them all the tools and empower them and teach them and train them and let them run, right? And when I say let them run, it doesn't mean you just like let them do whatever, but it's a little bit of both end of like, you're trying to equip them well enough to develop so that they can run, and then you can just like let them go and trust that they're going to use their strengths. Their strengths are more than what you can give, and that they're going to do that job, right? So developing people, I think, is huge when it comes to managing, right? You're not just managing tasks, you're managing a person, you're helping them develop in their role. And again, that sounds obvious, but we don't do this in a lot of businesses and in churches, and or at least it's not clearly conveyed, right? It's not like, hey, like, here are a list of responsibilities and tasks you need to do. Here are some skills I want you to develop in, right? Everything's just kind of assumed, and everything is kind of meshed. And I think that's what makes it difficult to work with each other. And so going back to the hustle, why this is important is people will hustle if they feel like they are in their strengths, when they feel like they have something to offer and give to the team. And if they feel like they have a strength that other people don't have, it's empowering to know that people rely on you, and that you kind of somewhat call the shots when it comes to, hey, I know this realm better than you, just trust me. Here's why you can trust me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I know you have these issues and worries and concerns. Here's how I'm going to address each one, right? And a lot of this management skills is learned through a lot of trial and error on my end, but also through Lauren and how she manages her team. So she is in my opinion, as I talk to her, it sounds like she's a pretty good manager, but of course she could just be telling me this. But just her thought process and flow. She doesn't say, hey, I'm the best manager, but just her thought process and flow of thought makes a lot of sense, right? So I've been learning a lot from Lauren in terms of how I can work through the logic of the flows and how things process. She doesn't really teach me about the EQ part, the relational part, but she helps me to understand more of like, objectively, this is a task, here's how you do it. And if there's going to be issues, if like your manager is going to ask all these questions, be proactive in thinking through, what is my manager going to nitpick, and address those beforehand, so that when you come to a meeting with your manager will be like, oh, you thought of all these things already? Awesome. Or if they have any questions, immediately you can answer them. So there's a little bit of process of working through those things. But I do think that if all of us are placed in roles of strengths, then we will definitely run much harder and much faster. The problem is that sometimes organizations, they don't have enough people skilled in those certain areas, but they need to have those areas filled, and that's where some trouble comes. And I think that ultimately, when trouble comes, it's up to the manager or the business owner to handle it. You can't make your team members feel bad for things they just don't know or aren't developed in. Like, you cannot. Like, it is an owner-led thing that you just have to develop. So the more you own, I'm talking as a business owner now, the more you own your roles and your duties all the way through and through, the more you will find solutions for it and not get frustrated. So there are certain expectations of team members and responsibilities And there are things I wish that they would all do more or do better, but I can't expect them to do those things if I don't clearly convey to them what it is that I'm envisioning, and if they don't have the tools, right? And so I don't try to make any of them feel bad for whatever I see is lacking or not being pushed, because it's ultimately on me. Like, I need to convey those things to them, I need to empower them, I need to give them tools, I need to encourage them and inspire them. So that's on me to kind of convey to the team. So it's really helping me to understand, like, hey, how can I get people in this hustle mode? One, this isn't their business. It's and what I mean by that is, like, I want them to own it as in it's theirs, but also ultimately, like, if it's not their baby, there's just something psychological that you're just not going to push as hard. And you can't blame them for that. It's totally okay. I wouldn't push. No, I wouldn't say that. I think it's possible to push just as hard, but it's not easy psychologically, because you have family stuff in the back end. You have you just also want to enjoy life and live life and not just always work, right? So the founder of any company is always going to work the hardest, because they're always thinking about the business in terms of growth, in terms of managing things, in terms of sales and operations. So you can't expect your team members to buy in on the level that you're going to buy in on. But I do think it is a skill as a leader, as a manager, as an owner and founder, to inspire them, to get them to a higher level. And so higher level of hustle, higher level of buy-in. And how you do that is various aspects of giving them value, whether it's putting them in a role, giving them flexibility, see what they value, and find ways to incentivize them in that way. What I'm trying to do with Ship Zeros Geckos, but Ship Zeros in particular, because it's the revenue is coming in, but we can still, there's still so much more to do. And what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to bring my team members up to a level of hustle without making them feel bad, right? I don't expect them to be like me, but I want to find ways to inspire, find ways to incentivize, find ways to give them enough value so that they can really own their roles and own the thing, and so we can all just like grind it out and hustle together and push as hard as we can. So this founder mentality, I think is important to develop. So if they're not hustling, I'm not saying they're not, but if they're not hustling, if they're not performing up to how you want them to perform, then it's on you, it's on me, right? So I don't blame any of my team members for things that I'm just trying not to put in proper expectations on them, but I do want to like level them up in different ways, and I think that's my wrestle right now. So when I think about hustle, this topic of hustle, I think of how do we inspire hustle? How do we instill hustle? And there are different ways to do it, but how do we inspire a inherent means, it's maybe it comes from you, but how do we inspire a hustle that where they just like are unlocked, right? As people, not everyone's going to have this hustle, and that's okay. Like, I believe God's given us all these different types of gifts and personalities, and we all fit in different roles, and that's a beautiful thing. But to the best of my ability, I want to try to enable and push and develop hustle, so that even if they're not with me and Chip Zeros and Zeros Geckos and my team, that they will thrive and do amazing things even beyond me and kind of our connections. I want them just to be, we just need more leaders, good leaders. We need more good leaders in our communities and societies, and people that are unselfish, or as unselfish as possible, and to just provide value, to care, and and not just have all these like villains win. You know, I use villains lightly because to some degree we're all villains, but just to begin to like develop people that are humble but also bold and are wrestling but also providing value to people all around them. And so I feel a lot of, I don't know, fulfillment in trying to develop people in that way. So how do we inspire hustle um, is a conversation that we're just gonna keep having. Um, yeah, you can't just be like, hey, like do better. Hey, hustle more. You know, you can definitely kick people in the pants and light a fire, a temporary fire for so long before they burn out. A lot of this like internal engine is needs a lot of like feeding and prompting, and I don't know, maybe we just have to throw people on the deep end and let them figure it out. But maybe they don't want to hustle. Maybe they just are fulfilled just like clocking in, clocking out, and just leaving it at that. And that's fine too. Like everyone has the right to work how they want to work and have a lifestyle they want to have. But for me, I'm very interested in how can I find / develop people on a level that is like, all right, we're good. I wouldn't know that we're able to develop hustle, at least to some degree, right? So, but I don't know. Maybe it's me trying to say also that, hey, let me try to develop people to be more sensitive and emotionally in tune with stuff. Like, yes, maybe, but ultimately, like we're all so different that not everyone's gonna be like that, and that's okay. And so I don't know if hustle is one of those things where it's just like you have it or you don't. I'm something I think about. I tend to lean towards I think it can be developed. You just have to put them in the right track, in the right lane, and they just need to be mentored and coached in a way that will begin to develop a fire in them that is like unquenchable. I think it's possible. I think it's possible. And so for me, I want to try to push that, and I want to try to inspire that. I want to try to instill that, but not everyone's going to have that. Everyone's on kind of a different track, and not everyone wants to be a business owner. Some people just want to, be like Lauren, clock in, clock out, still be a hard worker, still be an excellent worker, still manage people well, and but other than that, they don't want to grind it out and work this hard. But for the purposes of owning a business, for the purposes of mission and vision and mission, especially if we're talking about like churches too, and like I'm very like mission focused when it comes to church. So I'm very inspired by the gospel mission. So nobody needs to inspire I wouldn't say nobody, but I need very little external motivation to drive kind of my church work, kind of the things that I do, because I'm driven by, in my opinion, a higher power. I believe in a God and Heavenly Father that has, given us certain views and parameters of the design of life and purpose of life. And so that's my internal motivation through my beliefs, my values. So church-wise, like that's my drive. I don't need external motivation very much to really run. But when it comes to these businesses, when it comes to a product that your team members may or may not buy into, it might be a little bit harder, because what is the mission? Mission is to make money, right? Mission is to sell shipping labels, like that's not very sexy, right? So what I'm trying to instill in my team members is the value that we're all given in terms of the development of our skills, the development of seeing and opening our eyes to this broader culture of starting a business and running a business, and how the world works when it comes to this American culture of capitalism, and the possibilities of being able to do your own thing, finding freedom, right? So what is it that each of my team members value? And I ask them those things, and some of it is flexibility, some of it is financial, some of it is just being able to travel and still work, right? Flexibility. Some of it is like developing in leadership skills and advancing in career, right? So we're all driven by these motivations, and sure, we can push on it. Sure, we can. I can promise. I can. I can let them know that I will work towards those goals for them and try to put them in places where they can do that. But what else? What else? You know, uh, my hope is that for my team members is that they'll, as I kind of talk to them more and more about business, I want to be able to inspire them to think beyond our business here. I want them to unlock in ways where they're like, hey, I'm here because I want to develop these skills. I want to learn. I want to grow. I'm not just here to make a paycheck. So if they are there, that's fine. Like, again, like no issues. I have no issues. But if I can provide even more value beyond just the financial, beyond the flexibility, I want to provide that. Like it just excites me. It excites me to try to instill hustle in people so that they can just run, because I know I know everybody has that hustle. It's just a matter of how much hustle and why the hustle that we're trying to get at. So, like David Goggins, right? David Goggins is this insane dude where he's like, man, you're a bunch of like beesies, like just wake up, just run 10,000 miles to work, and you'll be good, do hard things. And I think there's some truth to that. But ultimately, what he's saying is like, dude, just suck it up, just work harder, develop a hard work ethic and a steel mind that just does hard things so that you're going to be successful in life. And there's a lot of truth to that. But I do think that he goes maybe a little bit too far. He's a little bit insane when it comes to the extremeness. Is that the word? Or extremity? No, extremity is like your appendages, right? The extremeness of having that mentality. That can only take you so far because you burn out if you just always think like that. So there's got to be a way where it's like parts of David Goggins, but also parts of aspect of rest and finding an internal motivation of purpose beyond just like sucking it up and working hard, right? There needs to be something more. So for me, obviously, with my gospel values and religious upbringing and my beliefs in how the world was created and what it was designed for, that is my driver towards even things that aren't religious when it comes to work, because that is something that drives me beyond just sucking it up, like I find value in just tending the garden. I've used this analogy before, right? We're tending the garden, or in The Alchemist, we're tending the glass shop. We're just trying to develop skills. We're passing by in every phase and stage of life, and we're just tending the garden. It's a forever thing we're gonna do, right? In Genesis, God says, be fruitful, be multiply, have dominion over the animals and the earth, and rule over it, right? I believe that intrinsic to who we are as humans, that we all have a desire to want to have dominion, to manage, to tend to our work and our gardens in a way that is beautiful. We're just trying to bring order to chaos, right? And this is very much a biblical theme. And a secular world will still do these things, right? We just have different types of motivations, because the motivation is money. The motivation is like tending this garden so the money grows off of these trees. For me, that is fruit of it, and that'd be awesome. But I just like tending the garden. I want to hustle because I just want to tend the garden. This is all very fun for me. It's difficult, it's tiring, it's stressful, and sometimes painful. You go through a lot of you take a lot of plenty of battle scars as you kind of like go through different relationships of working together, and that's all part of it. Ultimately, like, I just enjoy doing the work. I just love the work. I love growing and developing as a gardener of whatever I'm tending. So as boring or as mundane or difficult as some things are, I go back to my values of what am I doing and how do I get past this? And it always comes back to my the gospel lens of I'm just tending the garden and I'm enjoying, and I'm just thankful to be a gardener. I'm thankful that I have a garden, and I feel like I'm growing and gaining more skills, which are my tools. And so I'm leveling up on tools. Tools. Oh, I got a new shovel. Oh, I got some new premium water crystals to like plant and water these flowers with. That's gonna help them grow. That's literally, I'm just playing the game of gardening, right? And that is my hustle. My hustle is God has placed me here. I'm very grateful and thankful for life and the garden here. And my hustle is I don't want to waste these tools. I don't want to waste my life. I want to tend as best as I can of the gardens in front of me. And if there's weeds, we work through it. If the plant dies, we work through it. You know, it's a constant, never-ending process of growth and development and figuring out why things worked or why things didn't work, and just that's it. For all of infinity and eternity, this is the game. Simon Sinek has that book. I think it's the Infinite Game or something, and he talks about this too. And he's not a Christian, but he talks about just enjoying the process of building out. And that's very much to me a Bible thing. Is that this is why we were created, to have dominion, to be fruitful, to be to tend to our gardens. And the thorns and thistles make everything difficult because of the fall. But we nonetheless, inherently, we still want to tend the garden. We still want to pull the weeds out. We still want to plant new flowers and trees and bushes and fruit. Like it's that's the infinite game to me. So that's my hustle. My hustle is understanding who I am, what my purpose is, how God designed us as humanity, and what we're doing it for. Right? We're doing it to be thankful out of gratitude, and we're doing it to, in my opinion, glorify and worship whatever it is we're worshiping, right? People that don't believe in the Bible or God, they worship money. They worship themselves, right? They're like, oh, look at me, accolades, all these things, right? We're all kind of worshiping in something, right? We just have different beliefs, and that's okay. Everyone has different beliefs and motivations, and that's okay. It's just how our stage of life and our seasons of life. And so I'm not trying to be stuffy with religion again, but I just want to share what motivates me and what drives my hustle. And so I feel like I can push a lot, and I have a high drive, high motor to do things that are difficult for long periods of time. And you bump into different things, you learn, you grow, you adjust, but I feel this is what fulfills me. And this is what drives my hustle. So now I'm already thinking of like, what are some other different businesses I can do? What else can I do in terms of learning and growing in skills? I think that's what I really enjoy, and I really enjoy providing value in terms of education, stuff like this. And even though we're 33 minutes in, even though nobody's watching at 33 minutes, it doesn't matter, right? I think just trying to express and share, and if people learn, awesome. If not, then that's okay. Everybody's on their own journey. So, okay. Oh my gosh, I rambled for way too long. All right. I'll see you guys. Thank you.